Hello and happy 2024. Welcome to the Action Network studio in New York City. I'm Maria Marino, and this is Green Dot Daily. We are back Monday through Friday at 3 Eastern on the Action Network YouTube channel and the Action app. We're going to get you caught up on everything NBA, including some picks for tonight. But at this time of the NFL season, things are really starting to heat up. So let's start there. Ravens made a major statement against the Dolphins over the weekend while the Bills won their fourth in a row. But flashback to Week 13 when the Bills were on a bye. Their odds to win the AFC East were at plus 1,100 while the Dolphins were at minus 2,500. Now the Bills are favored to win the division at minus 160 with the Dolphins at plus 135. As we say hello to Chad Millman and Simon Hunter. Hello, guys. Happy New Year. Now, it's pretty simple for the Bills and Dolphins on Sunday Night Football. The winner takes the AFC East title. Which way do you lean, Chad, as the Bills are favored by 3?
I cannot believe I'm saying this because I've been a Bills backer for the past month. But if I look at this game and I look at the pass coverage for the Dolphins, I look at their rush defense. I look at their overall defense, which according to Pro Football Focus is third best, just behind the Niners and the Ravens. And I've got a home underdog in the division. It's hard for me not to at least think about the Dolphins as the team that could cover this game. Are they going to win? I still favor the Bills, but I do think the Dolphins are going to cover this game.
Simon, what would you think?
Yeah, I would say if this was middle of the season, this would be an easy bet on the Dolphins. It's a home divisional dog, and the Bills are a little bit inflated right now. We saw last week they're still struggling with their turnovers, and that's an Achilles heel for any team. But the difference here is Miami's just had an insane amount of injuries. Like their defense that Chad just talked about, it's been really good. They're down about 3 or 4 key starters from that defense that played well all season. And the Bills are coming off such a sloppy game. There's nothing to look ahead to here. Like this is what they were looking ahead to. This is the game they were focused on. So the Bills, to me, I get the line. It makes sense. It's a -3, right? The books are hedging against people like me and Chad, who took a large position on the Bills a couple of weeks ago to win this division. Now it's an easy hedge. So if you did bet the Bills win the division, like Maria talked about earlier in this past month, you got a hedge here on Miami. If not, if you're just betting this straight, the pros are going to be on Miami. Me and Chad, I feel like we're both leaning towards the Bills here. They just feel like at -3, this is a good number. If I got the 3.5, I might think Miami, but a -3, -2.5, I'll take the Bills.
Chad is thinking about the Dolphins at +3. Just to...
Got it. Clarifying for the record. Well, the Dolphins are 7-1 at home, the one loss being the blown lead to the Titans in Week 14. You mentioned the injuries Miami is dealing with. Once we get through this week, we'll start talking about who could maybe challenge the Ravens. But let's move over to the NFC. Vikings are road dogs facing the Lions at 1 o'clock Eastern. Vikings can make the playoffs with a win and lots of help. What's the play here, Chad?
Well, look, the Vikings' percentage chance to make the playoffs is at about 4%, and they're playing against the Lions, who basically need a miracle to move from number 3 to number 2. So to me, I'm thinking about, is this line inflated right now? It opened at Lions -4. After that debacle for the Vikings on Sunday night against the Packers, everybody started steaming the Lions. It's moved up to 4.5 to 5 to 5.5 now. I think you're getting to a point where you want to back the Vikings. Don't forget, this is a defense that is still good, that still likes to blitz, that can be a challenge for Jared Goff. I think at some point they're not going to look as bad as they did on Sunday night. You always get a little bit of regression when that happens. So I would lean Vikings at 5.5 here. Also, it's important to point out, home favorites in this spot against the division opponent, covering at about a 45% clip the past 5 years.
Simon, any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, the numbers already moved to 3, so it kind of tells you what the pros think. And I think
wait. When did it move to 3? It was literally 5.5 like 2 hours ago.
So in the last hour, it's moved to 3. When you're looking at this game, it's really about what is Detroit going to do. Are they going to actually play their starters? Which I don't think they will. I think that's dumb for them to do that. You might as well use this as a mini bye week, take the week off. You're going to get the 3 seed. Like that 2 seed, I know they have an outside chance of getting, but you need the Eagles and Dallas both to lose. I just can't see that happening. So I think Detroit uses it as a mini bye week. That's why I've seen the number come down. So I would grab the 3 now on Minnesota just in case it does come out that Lions are resting starters, and we could see this flip to them probably being a pick or maybe in Minnesota being -1. So I would grab the +3 right now on Minnesota.
I see what you're saying about the Lions could rest starters. I just have a funny feeling they're going to be in revenge mode after last week. But regardless, should the Vikings win, they'd still need the Packers to lose later in the day and then some. The Packers can claim the NFC wildcard spot in the meantime by beating the Bears at Lambeau. Simon, can the Bears spoil the party?
Yeah, I love this Bears team. I've just been betting them every week. They're just such a fun team. They're playing way better than the books give them credit for. Every week we talk about that they've been undervalued by the books. They just haven't adjusted to what this team has become these last 7-8 weeks. So Bears defense at home against Green Bay's offense. I like that matchup. And on the flip side, Bears offense versus Green Bay's defense. I like that matchup as well. So it is all clicking for this Bears team. And now they're a dog. I mean, come on. I know what Chad's going to do here, but this is a bet where I love they're playing spoiler, but the fact like I'm going through right now, you can get them, +150 on the money line. Why wouldn't we make that bet? Like I'm getting +150 on this money line with this Bears team. I'm going to take this number is probably closer to -1, -2, but the public just thinks, well, Green Bay needs this, right? They need this to make the playoffs. Let me bet this Green Bay team. It doesn't really work that way, right? It doesn't matter that they need this. Both these teams are playing for something here, and I think Green Bay, as much as they want to make the playoffs, I think the Bears want to play spoiler. Like this is a team they do not like divisionally. So I like that number on the Bears at +3.
Chad, does this warm your heart?
This makes me happy. The Bears were the first bet I made this week. I bet them when the number was at 3.5. And this to me feels like a no-brainer. You're talking about a Packers defense that everyone thinks got right against the Vikings because they held them to so few points on Sunday night. The truth is this Packers defense did not have a challenge on Sunday night. And it's still the Packers defense that has been terrible all season long, going against Justin Fields, who can do whatever he needs to do against that Packers scheme, whether it's going to be running or passing. DJ Moore has been on fire. This Bears defense, it's a little bit of a counter because the Vikings like to blitz so much. That is that's a weakness when you are trying to play against Jordan Love. One of the reasons why he lit them up so badly, but the Bears don't blitz as much, and their defense really has been counting on a pass rush from the front four. They're just a much better all-around team right now, I think, than the Vikings, and so it's a much stiffer test. The Bears as underdogs in this game, sign me up.
I love ending on this note. Both of you guys on the same page. Super fun. So much to look forward to this weekend. Chad Millman, Simon Hunter of the Favorites podcast. Thanks so much for joining the show.
See you guys.
To the NBA and a great matchup tonight at 8 Eastern. The Celtics are #1 in the East at 26-6 and are undefeated at home, but they'll be on the road against the Thunder, the current #2 team in the West. They're 22-9 overall, 13-5 in OKC. Celts are a top 5 defense in the league, while OKC is a top 5 offense. So with that, we welcome in Jay Money. We will get your pick on this game in just a moment. But first, what are your thoughts on the Thunder? They seem to be putting it all together this year. Are they a true contender?
Yeah, I have to give credit to SGA. He's been playing at a true MVP candidate. It seems like he gets 33, 34 points every single night. I'll say a contender, but they're not the second best team in the Western Conference, in my opinion. Like I say, if SGA can keep this up, he gives them a legitimate chance. But I just think that they're one superstar away from really making a deep run in the West. Obviously, they have a ton of youth over there, especially their bench as well. So a ton of young guys. They are young and hungry. But when it gets to the playoffs, like we're talking about contending like for a Western Conference title or something like that, when it gets into the playoffs, you'll see these young guys and their immaturity start to show up, in my opinion. So I'll say a contender for the regular season.
I could see that. This is kind of the next step with them building towards something. Whereas like a team like the Celtics, they've been there for a few years now, getting to, the conference finals or the finals. So when we talk about the game itself, though, Boston laying 4, how are you betting it?
Yeah, I like the Celtics here. I think this could be an early and often spot for the Boston Celtics here. Not many people look this far back, but if you look at it 364 days ago, Maria, almost 1 year ago to the day, the Boston Celtics went to Oklahoma City Thunder, and they ruled out SJ at the last minute. So what did the Celtics do? They have a letdown, obviously. They lost 150 to 117. They were a little bit heated after a game as well because the Thunder were putting up threes. They were going crazy on them, basically running up the score. So I like this revenge spot for the Celtics here. I'll go ahead and take the Celtics in the first half -2. This is the #1 team in the NBA in the first half on the road at 14-3 against the spread. They're also at full strength, talking about with Drew Holiday and Porzingis in there along with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. This is the best team by far in the NBA in my opinion. So major revenge spot for the Celtics. I'm pretty sure they remember that 150-point loss, 150 to 117 loss in OKC last year on January 3rd. So I'll take the Celtics to come out here hungry in this one and smack the Thunder up tonight.
I love how when you look at revenge, you do not have short-term memory. You are going all the way back as far as you can remember, but it all comes into play. J Money, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Anytime, Maria.
Hey everybody, it's Joe Dellera, and I've got a couple of my favorite plays for this Tuesday NBA slate. The first play that I'm looking at is Franz Wagner over 5.5 rebounds. The Magic are going to start the new year off against the Golden State Warriors on the road, and I think that this is a great matchup for Wagner. On the season, Wagner's averaged 21.1 points, 6.0 rebounds, and 4.0 assists, and he's continued to improve each passing day. And the stat that I'm targeting here, like I mentioned before, is his rebounds. His line is set at 5.5 rebounds. This is a number he's exceeded in 63% of games this season and in 8 of his last 10 games. The Magic have had one of the league's best defenses over the course of the entire season, and with their guards and their switchability and what they can throw at the Golden State Warriors, I expect that to cause Golden State to struggle on the offensive side of the ball, leading to more misses and more opportunities for Wagner to crash the glass. So I like Wagner to go over 5.5 rebounds in this spot. The next matchup that I'm looking at is the Kings against the Hornets, and I'm looking at De'Aaron Fox over 5.5 assists. Tonight, this should be a game that the Kings can take care of business. The Kings are 14th in adjusted net rating and have been much improved with De'Aaron Fox compared to the 29th ranked adjusted net rating of the Charlotte Hornets. It's a game that I fully expect the Kings to win, and with a 15.5 or 16-point spread, depending on where you can find it, the books seem to think so as well. One player that's had dramatically different splits this season has been De'Aaron Fox. On the season, he's averaging 6.1 assists per game, but that number actually drops all the way down to 3.6 in losses, but spikes to 7.6 in wins. He's exceeded this 5.5 assist line in 14 of 16 wins that he's participated in this season, and I expect him to have no trouble dishing against this porous Charlotte defense. I expect De'Aaron Fox to start the new year off right, and I like him to record over 5.5 assists. So to recap, my two favorite plays for today's NBA slate are Franz Wagner over 5.5 rebounds and De'Aaron Fox over 5.5 assists. Best of luck on your wagers today and enjoy the rest of your Tuesdays.
The NBA was buzzing over the weekend when the Knicks and Raptors did a trade, the main pieces being OG Anunoby, RJ Barrett, and Emmanuel Quickley. OG scored 17 in his Knicks debut, a win over Minnesota, while the Raptors also got a win over the Cavs. RJ and IQ both started and put up 19 points and 14 points respectively. Action Network writer Bryan Fonseca joins me now. So what did you make of this trade?
It was a good trade, but the more interesting thing for me is really about what happens next. And for me, that could be one of a couple different things. You have Pascal Siakam, who is sort of waiting in the wings to be traded. He has an expiring contract of about $38 million for the Toronto Raptors, and he could sort of tilt the scales of power in the Eastern Conference or in the Western Conference if he does go out west via trade. And then you also have on the Knicks side, they did not trade a single first-round pick to get OG Anunoby, which is very important for, I think, looking at what they can do moving forward. They still have Evan Fournier's expiring contract. They still have pieces like Deuce McBride, who they just extended, potentially Quentin Grimes if you want to get him in a trade. And ultimately, I think that the Knicks are up to something. It's just a matter of whether or not that trade is going to happen between now and the February trade deadline, or if it's going to be something that happens later on in the summer. So if you're sort of looking at the futures aspect of this, I think you may have to wait till next year for the Knicks. But if you think they could strike now, I think their futures are probably viable for them to potentially win the Eastern Conference, though I don't think that they're going to win the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I'm mostly with you. I don't mind the trade for the Knicks. It's an upgrade defensively. Anunoby's a better, more consistent three-point shooter than an RJ Barrett. But this all remains to be seen because I think the key words you said are what's next.
Yeah.
But let's move on. Let's talk about tonight's slate. What is the pick that you like?
So I'm looking at the Memphis Grizzlies and San Antonio Spurs, and unfortunately, yes, we're going to pick on the Spurs once again because they haven't been very good this year. But I like a couple Marcus Smart props, one in particular, steals. I went over 1.5, which the value is around that minus 140. I got it at minus 135, but it's still around there. And I'm also looking at steals and blocks combined for Marcus Smart over 2.5, which is at plus 140. And the reason is because that's something he's done in 3 of his last 4 games. He's gotten it 7 out of 15 games this season. Remember, he missed some time due to injury. And the Spurs turned the ball over more than most other teams in the league, which you would expect because they're not very good. They give up the ball about 8.8, 8.5 times per game per 100 possessions. And you're looking at that being in the top 5 in the NBA in both aspects. So I think Marcus Smart is somebody who can feed off of that defensively and really help them potentially cover that minus 11.5 spread.
Well, the Grizzlies were getting interesting for a minute there when Ja Morant came back. They won 4 straight, but now they've since dropped 3 in a row. So always good to target whoever's playing the Spurs, though. So I totally get it. Bryan Fonseca, thanks so much for joining Green.Daily.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Remember, any picks we give out here on the show, you can easily reference by following Green.Daily in the Action app. We keep track so you don't have to. And don't forget, we have a super exciting wildcard weekend in store for you all. You can sweat your bets with Chris Raybon, Sean Kerner, Stuckey, Chad Millman, and Simon Hunter at our watch party on Saturday, January 13th. And on Sunday, we have another edition of the Favorites podcast live. It's all going down at the Shepherd and the Knucklehead in Hoboken, New Jersey. We had so much fun doing this back in December. We had to do it again. Click the links below or go to eventbrite.com and search the favorites to RSVP. And that's going to do it for Green.Daily. I'm Maria Marino. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow at 3 Eastern on the Action Network YouTube channel and the Action app. Happy New Year.